buenas tardes, Cristian. Buenas tardes, como siempre, a todos los que nos vais a acompañar este fin de semana en esta jornada de hoy, en la de mañana, un fin de semana intenso el que nos espera. Desde luego está siendo un día cuanto menos curioso. Ganas de que comenzara una temporada más después de la última de Barcelona, la temporada pasada ya por noviembre, que ya queda bastante.
Hello and welcome to this second round of the 2023 Spanish Formula 4 Championship, coming to you live this time from Motorland Aragón. Championship started in frantic and fascinating style last time out in Spa. And we're hoping for more of the same action this weekend. Although we certainly won't have the anywhere near like the same weather we had at Spa-Francorchamps a few weeks ago. It was a mixture of very nice and dry and calm to thunderstorms, which, to be fair, at Spa is kind of what you expect. We have had a delay, a little bit of delay. There has been an update to the gearbox system by the supplier Autotechnica. There was an update actually introduced this weekend, but some of the teams found it wasn't working quite as wasn't quite as ready for them yet. But so it has been decided to reintroduce the old gearbox ECU system to allow all the teams to run as effectively and efficiently as possible. Get to you with the lineup of the field as we see Jessica Carrera in the pit lane, ready to go. And so we've just had the qualifying session not that long ago, actually. It's actually a very, very short space of time between qualifying for race one and actually race one happening. It's only been a couple of hours. As noted, this is a half-hour delay, so this really should have gone live quite a while ago already. We'll go through the classification for qualifying for the grid for today's race, as we see the pace car out in the field at the moment doing its laps. And I can tell you on pole position for this one is Christian Ho for Campos Racing. He got pole position with a 2 minutes dead, 0.007. Just behind him on the front row is Enzo Deligny, the Red Bull Junior, also for Campos Racing. Keanu Alazzari for MP Motorsport will start third, just alongside Valerio Rinicello, who won race 3 at Spa-Francorchamps on the field, but later received a penalty which dropped him outside of the points altogether. Now, effectively, if you remember that last race at Spa-Francorchamps, it was a late restart following a safety car, a very, very, very fast dash, and as we see the track map on screen at the moment, Rinicello was going wheel to wheel over that last lap with Del Pano. And effectively, the new race winner for race 3. The gap over the line was actually 11 thousandths of a second, and it was Matteo De Pelo from Campos Racing. And effectively, Rinicello and De Pelo came over the line side by side, but it was found that Rinicello had actually gone outside of the track limits to get the run on De Pelo to take the win. So Rinicello was given a time penalty, which dropped him outside of the points. De Pelo took the third race win, and he was only just ahead of Pedro Clero, who had actually won races 1 and 2, and has established quite a significant early lead in the championship standings, which we'll go through with you in a few moments' time. Let's see Enzo Deligny in the pit lane. Ready to get his race underway. So the update really is it's caught a lot of teams, and I think a lot of us around here a little bit by surprise. We didn't expect such a late update So everyone being serviced as close to the end of qualifying as possible and before the start of this race. And you can see now that the teams, the drivers finally leaving the pits. And making their way onto the track to get their lap in on the way to the grid. And yes, so Pedro Claro has taken 2 wins and a 2nd place. He leads the championship with 63 points after 1 round. Christian Ho, who had pole position for today's race, also provisionally pole position for race 2. And I say provisionally because while the qualifying times for race 2, the grid for race 2 were set in qualifying earlier on, that, of course, that final grid order is still dependent on whether or not there are any penalties from today's race. So Christian Ho has provisional pole position for tomorrow's race 2 as well. He's 2nd in the championship with 37 points, having scored 2 podiums at Spa. Matthew De Pello is 3rd in the standings, helped significantly by that race 3 win. And Keanu Alazzari is 4th in the standings with 27 points, having scored 1 podium and a 4th place finish. Theophil Neal is 5th in the standings for Santalok Racing. He got a podium in race 2. Valerio Nicella, having won the 3rd race on track in Spa, dropped down to 12, but he did score a podium in race 2. He finished 2nd there. He is 7th in the standings with Noah Stromsted in 6th between Nicella and Neal. Now, we have had a couple of small changes for this weekend. We have a few drivers in, 1 driver out, a couple of drivers out. Daniel Matzia was initially due to race this weekend, but he is actually taking part in a karting championship, so is not here. Also not available this weekend for DriveX is Alexander Bolduev. He is not appearing this weekend, but we do have 4 new drivers as well. For Campos Racing, Andres Cardenas from Peru. He's actually only just turned 15 years old 12 days ago. This is his first car race, and he is a young driver, a junior driver from Peru, who's actually been spotted by Fernando Alonso's team, and we'll be interested to see how he goes this weekend. For technical Forma de Campeones, Hiyu Yamakoshi is making his debut in Spanish Formula 4. He races actually full-time in French Formula 4 at the moment. He's 5th in that championship, having taken 2 podiums, won at Pau a couple of weeks ago, last weekend, and won at Magny-Cours. For Motorland Motorsport, Lynn Holdinius is the Dutch driver, starting for them this weekend, and at Cram Motorsport, Alessandro Silvaggi is making his debut, his first Formula 4 race, as far as I'm aware, as far as I can find at least. So we have the mechanics on the grid, we have a safety car on the grid. What we don't have yet is cars. I'll be getting them very, very, very shortly. Warm conditions, very warm conditions here at Motorland Aragón. It's 27 degrees Celsius. And not much wind, to be fair. And these are the kind of conditions where Spa was challenging, because you had a significant change in temperature, significant changes in weather conditions throughout the weekend, and you were making judgment calls based really pretty much on the changing conditions that were changing almost minute by minute, second by second. Certainly we saw that at the Euro Cup 3 round at Spa-Francorchamps. This is a slightly different scenario. It's much warmer. We've missed the heat of the day. It's, of course, being coming up to 5 p.m. now, we've very much missed the heat of the day. It was much warmer earlier on. But instead of changeable conditions, the drivers are having to deal with very much warmer conditions, and they're going to have to manage their tyres over the course of the race weekend should the conditions stay like this. And as far as I'm aware, I think they will. That's Steve O'Neill coming to the grid there. He starts 7th in his Centerlock racing machine. And on screen, the number 8 machine. The winner from race 3 at Spa, Matteo De Pello, starting down in 12th. Last minute adjustments. There's not really that many adjustments you can make at this stage. You've done your 2 practice sessions, you've done your test, you've done your qualifying. If you haven't nailed it by now, you're probably not going to nail it. Now, one thing to remind everyone of, you just saw it on the bottom of the screen there, race distance, race length. It is now changed, it is now different. Previously, up until last time out at Spa, the race distances for races 1 and 3 was 25 minutes plus 1 lap, and the race distance for race 2 was 18 minutes plus 1 lap. And that actually changes from this weekend onwards. It is now 30 minutes plus 1 lap for races 1 and 3, and 25 minutes plus 1 lap for race 2. It was initially supposed to be something that was to come in for the whole season, but such was the nature of the jam-packed schedule at Spa, it was decided for that round only, the original race lengths will actually be kept. Laps. The pace car and safety car, making sure the circuit is absolutely clear. We see pole sitter Christian Ho, his first pole positions in Spanish Formula 4, any Formula 4 I believe. Sitting under the umbrella to take some of the heat off of his head. And so, Enzo Deligny, second on the grid, getting away from the dirty side of the track. And the pace car pulling off to one of the side roads, taking a shortcut that will take it to the rear of the track, or sorry, rear of the pack on the starting grid. Gianno Alazzari, third on the grid, second rookie as it stands. Also second rookie in terms of the actual point standings as well, just behind Gianno De Pello. That may very well change this weekend, considering De Pello's starting in the pack. Rinacella, fourth position, desperately hoping to make amends for losing that race win in Spa. And the board for 1 minute to the start of the formation lap will be coming out very, very shortly. This is Andres Cardenas, I mentioned earlier on, the Peruvian driver, starting fifth. This the Alonso protege. A very, very good effort from him to get so high up in the order in his first race weekend. And the grid now is beginning to clear. And we are going to go through the grid. So in pole position, Christian Ho for Campos Racing alongside Enzo Deligny, then Gianno Alazzari and Valerio Rinacella on row 2, Andres Cardenas and Noah Stromsted filling out the third rows. Row 4 is Theophil Neal, just ahead of Pedro Clero, who won 2 races last time out of Spa. Then Alex Ninovich ahead of Jessica Esquadra. Row 6, Geronimo Berrio ahead of Matthew DePello, while 13th place Noah Lyle, who showed well in practice, ahead of Hiyu Yamakoshi, another debutant driver. Ricardo Grazia and Griffin Peebles fill out the 8th row ahead of Federico Al-Rifai and Pablo Sarrazin on row 9, Luciano Morano and Eric Genet making out the top 20. Fernando Barrichello will start 21st ahead of Flavio Oliveri and Danny Nogales, while Alexander Abkazakova will start 24th. Theodore Jensen will get away from 25th position, while Carl Bennett rounds out the 13th row ahead of Alvis Rodella, who starts 27th, Georgi Zurawski, who starts 28th, Juan Cota, who starts 29th, and Alessandro Silvaggi, who starts 30th. And then the final row of the grid, 33 starters, Maximiano Restrepo, 31st, and at the back of the grid, Lynn Hodines starting 32nd. And we are on the formation lap for this race. And so drivers getting round to the grid, warming their tires, getting any kind of heat they can possible. Just to build enough traction in the Hankook rubber so that they can get off the line quickly, steadily, and without issue, and hopefully make up positions. Remember, this race now 30 minutes plus 1 lap. You can see the marshals who've been having quite a long day. In the Spanish sun. Nearly over for them as they come down the back straight. A long field. It's fantastic to see 32 entries in Spanish Formula 4, and that, of course, with the even after the withdrawal of Daniel Matzia and Alexander Boldaev. And I do believe further drivers to possibly join later on this year. It really has been a truly successful effort. As you see, they feel really bunching up into the chicane. It's the GRS machine there. And so the last couple of corners. As the field lines up, we're looking at the number 9 machine. There's Georgi Zurawski from 28th on the grid. Most of the field is in their slots now, ready to go. On the left-hand side of your screen, the white machine with the black nose box is Christian Ho. And on the left-hand side of your screen, in the slightly Red Bull colours, you have Enzo Deligny for Campos Racing. Third on the grid will be Alezzari, and fourth is Rinicella in the orange MP Motorsport entry. And we're now waiting as the lights come on. And the race is go. Yellow flags out the backs, some stallers there. Not entirely sure who that is. It may have been one of the Sandlock racing machines. The field gets away well. Those stallers, those who had stalled, have got away well. Campos ahead with Christian Ho, and it is Enzo Deligny still in second place, ahead of Alazzari, and I think Cardenas has got ahead of Rinnicella. And Cardenas is trying to have a go at Alazzari, and Alazzari goes off the circuit, rejoins and keeps the position, I believe. That may not go down well. Alazzari goes down the inside. Rinnicella's on the outside line there. Cardenas in the middle. A clean start. And you see, that is Tearful Neil battling with Alazzari. Alazzari been really hung out to dry in this opening lap. Rinnicella has also dropped back. A fantastic start by Theo Neil from 7th on the grid, or sorry, 6th on the grid, up to 4th. Christian Ho leads by 7/10 of a second. Enzo Deligny going well off circuit to try and keep up with his Campos Racing teammate. You don't want to go out too many times there. You will get warnings for track limits, and if you get too many warnings, you'll get a black and white flag, and eventually you'll get a penalty. But you see drivers really going wheel to wheel there in the left-hand exit of the corner. And coming down the back straight. Several options for positions. You've got Ninovic having a go. Alazzari, and he gets the inside line. That is for 6th and 7th position. A disastrous first lap for Alazzari. He had trouble at some restarts at Spa last time out as well, so that's something to work on. But behind them is Cardenas, who would actually drop down the order earlier on. And that was Stromsted, who made a really good start as opposed to Cardenas. My apologies. And so it's Christian Ho, ahead of Deligny, ahead of Stromsted. Thierry O'Neill is 4th, while Valerio Rinnicella is 5th, ahead of Ninovic, Alazzari and Cardenas. Carrasquara is 9th. Jerome Berrio is in 10th position. Rinnicella is pressing Theophile Neil hard to regain the top 4 position. The second lap. Christian Ho edging out his lead slightly, but not by much. He's added an extra 0.2 of a second. There's already track limit warnings going out. Firstly to Griffin Peebles, the number 88 machine, and also as we see Alazzari having a go to retake Ninovic, and he has down the inside of the left-hand part of the chicane, takes a right-hander, solidifies that. Solidifies that overtake, very well done. And Christian Ho leads another lap, the gap to Deligny 1 second. Then Deligny has 1 second over Noah Stromsted, who has 9/10 of a second over Theodore O'Neill. He only has 1/10 of a second over Valerio Rinnicella. Christian Ho unperturbed by any traffic in front of him, setting the fastest lap, but that's to be expected at this early stage. It's a 2 minutes 1.505, although Deligny's lap times are not far behind. In the background, Cardenas has gotten past Ninovic, and Rinnicella, I think, was having a go. Has been going side by side with Theodore O'Neill and has made that move stick. And Alazzari's been pressing hard as well, but meanwhile Alazzari has got Cardenas just behind him. And Cardenas really pushing hard to get further back up the field. He started 5th, remember. There's Theodore O'Neill just behind Rinnicella now. Alazzari chasing. Alazzari had a difficult first lap. Difficult first couple of laps, now seems to have regained his composure and is drawing himself back up the order. Let's hope. Then Deligny. Then you have Stromsted, the white card at the bottom of the screen, and in the orange machine you got Rinnicella and Theodore O'Neill.